Ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? I know it's been a while, but I am back. I had to take care of some things, but do I have a treat for you all today? I got Coach Renz. And let me tell you, I got to tell you what I love about Coach Renz. I love the fact that he's an individual. He dances and marches to the beats of his own drums. If you want an apology, you got to go somewhere else and get it. You just do. I am me. I let you be who you are. It kind of reminds me a little about myself. That might be why we ultimately get along. Uh, you don't have to like or agree or respect anything that we say. You know, you have the option to leave a comment. We still want to have healthy, mature dialogue because it still can provide some type of resolutions and or healing if your mind is open enough to not get focused on the how we may say something as much as just pay attention to the words. Coach Renz, welcome to Sports-A-Delic again. How's
Thank
it
you for
going
having
over
me
there?
back.
The smoking Phoenix. If you haven't been out to the lounge, I told you before, you need to get over there. It's always clean because somebody's a neat freak. Somebody's dealing with some OCD. Not calling any names. I'm just saying it's a very clean establishment. It's a cigar shop, and you will not find ashes on the floor. Hey, he's the only
No,
one. He's the only one that I've ever been to. There's no ashes on the floor. But welcome. How are you?
I'm doing great, and I appreciate you having me back once again. It's been a minute, but it's good to see you. And thank you for the OCDism, because as I came in this morning, I saw one little thing on the floor, and I was like, "Oh, I got to get the broom."
Oh, I already know. I've seen it before. I've seen it.
It's all right, but you're right. We are two peas in a pod, so that's why we get along. Uh,
Mhm.
you don't have to agree; we just have to respect each other, and that's about it. And hopefully, we learn something from each other every time.
Well, I tell people you don't even have to respect what I say. Just respect me.
Yeah, that's what I'm. It's me as a
Yeah,
person.
yeah, just me as the person. Because I've heard a lot of wow stuff, but I don't hold it against the individual. But I'm open to
Right.
dialogue. But before we get started, would you please share, with our viewers your platforms if they want to check you out?
Mm. All right. So I hope y'all got a pen. Get your pen ready because there's a lot of platforms. Like, Sports-A-Delic here. I am very multifaceted. So we start with the light things and progress our way up. So first, my name is Lorenzo Reed. I go by Coach Renz or just straight Renz. I own a gourmet popcorn shop called Uncle Renz Popcorn here in Stone Mountain at 5385 54 Strickland Road. 26 plus delightful flavors of gourmet popcorn. 3 doors over from that, I am also the owner I do have a partner, but I'm the owner of Smoking Phoenix Cigar Lounge. That's where I am right now. This is our house stick, my Nicaraguan 1111. Beautiful Nicaraguan stick. So we're a cigar lounge at 3 doors over, so 5385 54 Strickland Road again, Smoking Phoenix Cigar Lounge. We are a lounge, not a bar. We come, we sit, we chill, we have great conversation, that sort of thing. We are a lounge. There's a big difference. All those you can find on social media. Both of those you can find on social media. What you'll also find on social media is that on the platforms of Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, I have two different types of platforms on there. One is a spiritual platform. That one is called Why I Left Religion with Coach Renz. There's a Facebook group, TikTok, and so on. And YouTube. YouTube is my preference. But on there, we do two different things. We deconstruct religion for people who want to deconstruct. I'm not looking to challenge people. We're not looking to have arguments or anything like that. Respectful conversations are always great. But we deconstruct religion for those who have decided that that's not the pathway for them. Then on the flip side of that, we discuss your own personal journey of spirituality, whether we're talking through universal law, chakras, anything and everything that helps a person to move, whether it's stones or crystals or symbols, utilizing symbology, whatever, just to grow your inner self and
Cigars,
become.
the
Yeah.
cigars, kind of that.
And then the last channel is a relationship channel. I saved that for last because of the topic today. That one is called The Art of Tantric Love. You can find that on the same platforms, The Art of Tantric Love, where we just discuss.
Would you spell tantric for
have
my
a great
viewers? Would you spell tantric for my viewers, please?
T-A-N. So tantric is T-A-N-T-R-I-C. So T-A-N-T-R-I-C. But tantra is about utilizing your natural energy, your personal energy to connect with someone, not just sexually, but in other intimate ways, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, in every facet, so that the two can bond it more as one and actually have more peace and love and happiness and joy and that sort of thing. So I use that as a premise for how to develop yourself and then develop into a great relationship. So
thank you.
Those are my platforms.
Thank you for all 9 million of those. We appreciate it, and everyone,
I'll add some more soon.
Everyone tune in, which leads me into this topic, because we've had several conversations, and I told you I've coined a phrase, and I call it man flicking. Today's topic, it's about what is this peace that men strive for, and do they even know what it means or what they're talking about? And the reason is because it just seems like, let me just be honest, I am so tired of every lounge I go into, everywhere, I don't know, Publix, or I could be at Whole Foods, just minding my business or whatever. And there's these little hubs of men seemingly bashing everything that you know to be true about, women. The entire essence, the intelligence, the beauty, the truthfulness, the honesty, they just not having it. And I do believe in freedom of choice. Love whoever you want to love. Do you be happy? But I think that there are men out here that are man flicking, Coach Renz, that I think that I really do think that they're in denial about the attraction that they have towards men. And I say, well, why don't you just go be with a dude? If that's, look, we only get one round at this thing called life. If that's going to provide you with the peace and the harmony and that you look for, and you don't want somebody at your neck or all of these phrases, that's available to you. But why do they still continue to interact with the essence that they don't like, that they have such a problem with, Coach Renz?
It is beyond my understanding for that. I mean, so you first mentioned the peace part. Now, it is true. Every man does want, I don't like using finite terms. Most men do want to live a peaceful existence. And they want to have a female companion, a woman companion. But there's this group, there's a caveat of that, of men who they just want the woman for her body, and that's it. But they'd rather be with the fellas. Now, they know if they went and got a masculine woman who operated in her masculinity, then they would feel challenged, because they wouldn't be able to, they would feel like she's emasculating them. They wouldn't feel like they were the head, the lead. And so they can't have that woman, but they want the more feminine, the woman who works in a feminine energy. But to them, that woman brings about too much conversation, too much emotion, too much nagging, as they may say, too much of all the, those things. but they don't want to deal with her emotions. They don't want to lead her through her emotions, deal with issues or problems or things that a feminine woman would deal with. If she's taking too long to get ready to go out, it aggravates them beyond what it should. All those kinds of, just a small example. So yeah, those men really just want a woman for her body and her looks. So, but they want her to be masculine, but not try to dominate them. They should go get a trans woman. I don't know. I grew up just calling it transvestite. Just go get you a transvestite. Go get you a dude that had the body parts of a dude, but then switched it over, fully surgically done, but dressed like a woman, but still acts, like a man, but overdoes it as a woman. They act more like a woman than women, but yet they still got a dude mentality. They're gonna watch the game with you. They ain't gonna bother you too much. They ain't gonna say much to you. Don't get you a transvestite, and then you can call it a day. And this is nothing negative towards that community.
No. We support freedom. Yeah.
I'm just saying, have your freedom, but just be real about it. You really want to do. You want to do, but you want a dude in a woman's body. But a masculine woman, you don't want. A woman who operates, in her masculinity, you don't want that. But you don't want one that operates in her femininity. So go get you a dude. And then you get that got a body like a woman, you'll be happy. And just if it's embarrassing to you, don't tell nobody. Go find one in California, bring her to Georgia. Or if you in New York, go find you one in Georgia and bring her to New York. Do your thing. But at least you'll be happy and you can start complaining and whining about women. Because see, the thing about it, this is also a man who doesn't fully understand how to have a balance of his masculine and feminine and how to operate in his masculine at the proper times to be able to lead his woman either. To be able to manage a household. He doesn't know how to operate in his feminine energy to nurture the woman properly so that she can have all the emotional.
Hold on. They're gonna be coming for you after this.
I don't give two rats asses about what they think. Because they're gonna say something about men operating in their feminine. Look, it takes masculine and feminine to manifest anything. That's why I wear this symbol right here, because the balance of the masculine and feminine.
Well, I mean, we came from both.
Exactly. You can't exist without both.
Right. So,
but men, we've created this narrative. There's this narrative out there that men only act in their masculine. Women only act in their feminine. But they'll complain about a woman acting in her masculine. But because they got fears within themselves, they can't recognize that they have a feminine energy as well. And you need to. How can a man nurture his children, his daughters, his son, and be gentle with them at the right time if he doesn't have that in him?
Right.
Because being that is not masculine. Masculine is instructional. Masculine is protective. Masculine is, that will to get shit done, that fight. The feminine is the nurturing, the caretaking, the loving. So you need a balance of both. Both men and women need a balance of both.
Right.
But men are so afraid of the feminine side that, men don't cry. That's bullshit. You know how many pent up emotions I grew up with as a kid because I was taught that. And then when I finally learned to deal with it and balance with it, shit. When all that came out, it was like, oh my God. And it came out. Yeah. When
you let it out.
I had to let it out.
Okay.
I did.
Well, good for you.
Went through some shit and I had to let that out.
Good for you.
And I was better for it. I actually understand how to be a better father, how to be a better husband, a better friend, a better everything.
Yeah, just better.
Yeah. But these dudes, now there's one thing about these dudes. These dudes is what I like to call a Charlie male. They Charlies, right? And they're Charlies because I know you call it man slicking, but it's Charlie for me.
Yeah. Yeah, the man flickers.
Because see, a Charlie thinks that he's an alpha, but doesn't quite have the abilities and the capabilities of an alpha, and so he just messed stuff up. He's overbearing, over dominating. He's egotistical. He's trying to rule with a fist and doesn't ever know how to open his hand. And of course, my best example of that, the example that I love the most, is Lion King, 1995. Mufasa was an alpha who understood how to protect the pride, protect the territory, but raise his son. Be gentle when it's time to be gentle. But old Scar, see, he was a Charlie. He just wanted to run through and rub everybody the wrong way, and everybody needs to just bow down to him. That's old Charlie right there. And so those guys who complain about women, they don't know how to get Sarabi to do what Sarabi needs to do to maintain the peace in the pride. They don't understand how to do that. They want to come in there like Scar and just yell at them and tell them what they gonna do, you know, not how to move the needle the other way, raise the vibration a different way. You know, they don't understand Mufasa.
Well, if I have to break it down at a clinical level, a lot of people don't understand this is also how you get to personality disorders, narcissism, antisocial behavior, way over there, sociopath, because you miss stages of emotional development, usually in childhood, or there's a tumultuous, non-nurturing relationship with the mother and the son. And that's how you get to, and then there's no cure. There's no cure for personality disorders. Like either they are aware or they're not, but they don't have the ability for that empathy to move the pendulum, to be quite honest with you. And that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a lot of broken men out here that have missed some stages of emotional development, and they're just bashing, like I said, you know, every woman, every chance that they get. Because if you are over the age of 50 and you haven't had not one positive, nurturing, beautiful relationship with a woman, I submit to you, you are the problem. What do you say to that, Coach?
Oh, I would most certainly agree. Like you know, you sit in the lounge long enough, you meet all types of personalities. And I can identify right off the top. Yeah, I wouldn't say it right now, but I can identify off the top of my mind those men that I can see that are over 50 and they haven't received that. They haven't had a loving, nurturing relationship from a woman that's not like their daughter or something like that. But, you know, from a romantic relationship or a parental relationship or older family. It's a little bit different when it's a daughter, you know, because that's them putting the relationship into play. But to have somebody who's supposed to give you that, they haven't had that. And so their response is very negative towards women in general, right? They like to put a label on every woman to say that every woman is going to do, you know, something negative within the relationship, outside the relationship, in revenge of the relationship, because they don't understand that. But they don't realize their part in it, their part in developing that negativity that they've had in that relationship, or even attracting that person and going after that type of person. And they think it's all the women, but you're drawing in that type of person because of the energy you put out, the personality you put out, the places you go, you know, you're creating it within your own environment because that's all you seek. And that's what you give attention to.
Are you now talking about the law of attraction?
I hate the law of attraction, but you can phrase it that way. It's more like universal law, cause and effect.
Is that yes or no? Are you?
No.
Okay, that's all I ask.
Because you know, when you say law of attraction, people think, oh, I just think about it and it just comes.
No. The law of attraction has many laws to put things into effect. Like we're not talking about on the surface, scratching the surface. It's just like gravity. I mean, if you study the law of gravity, it's much deeper than, well, what goes up must come down. You know what I mean?
Okay, then yes.
You know, it's the same thing with basketball. Yes, the basketball, if you shoot it up, it will come down. But what makes it actually go in the rim, that range and all of that? That's a lot of gravity.
Then yes, I agree with you. Then I am then in that framework. You're absolutely right. Because when you combine the mentalism, the cause and effect, the higher vibrations, understanding the pole, the everything that goes into it, the laws of reciprocity and polarization,
Right.
yes, compensation, I'm with you.
It has to be. It has to be. But see, just right there, to our viewers, uh, he could have been stubborn and wanted to just stick to, I hate the law of attraction. But if a platform is created to hear me out, like, oh, well, wait a minute. Okay, well, I can go along with that because we can learn something positive and meaningful and valuable every day if we just listen. Just take time to just listen, to the other, person. And I share that even with kids. I said, it's more to the basketball just going up and coming down. What is all the things that go into play? Rotation. Why is there this backspin? What does backspin and gravity? What happens? All of those kinds of things. But again, question for you. When a man says, oh, I want to be in a relationship with a woman, it's a beautiful thing. I don't want to do the work.
Now, when he don't want to do the work as far as developing a relationship, the work as far as taking care of the woman, if that's the thing, as far as the things that you decided you're going to take care of.
Well, they say they don't want to do the work, and they don't want someone telling them what to do.
So they don't want to do the work of having to be, what's the word I'm looking for here? Not responsible, accountable. Yes, accountable to someone else. Then they don't want a woman.
Well, what do they want, Coach?
They just want some sex. That's all they want.
Or
they want some. Well, let me be more definitive. They want a sex slave maid. That's what they want. When they say that, that's all they want. Sex slave maid, because they want to come and go as they please, do whatever they want to do, spend whatever time they desire to spend with them. But they want a clean house, an organized house. They want somebody to spread their legs every time they come in the door. They want somebody to put some food on the table. They also want somebody to go to work and help pay for half the bills in the household. They want all of that, but they don't want to be accountable to that person. Right? So as far as then, they just need what they want is just a sex slave maid. Well, and sex slave maid and worker. Because they want somebody to put money into the house too. So they don't want a relationship. No, that's not a relationship at all.
Yeah, when I hear people make disconnected statements, I don't trip because again, just in my profession, I hear disconnect all the time. I understand that if a person is disconnected, I don't expect for them to say connected things. It's kind of like stupid is as stupid does. So if they're disconnected, I expect a plethora of disconnected statements. I would love to be in a relationship, but I don't want to do the work. Well,
yeah, that's it.
But the bigger piece of that is I know that maturity doesn't come with age. It's sad. It's sad. I just have sympathy and empathy when we have 50, 55, 65-year-old people out here still not wanting to do the work. Because I believe wholeheartedly a well-adjusted person doesn't want to be alone.
No.
Doesn't want to be alone. But you're going to put yourself in that position because you're spewing, the negativity. Like nobody wants to be around that negative energy, or they can't tolerate it, but for so long. But I hear a lot of men, go to the lounges, like be at the games and stuff. And I'm saying, wow, it's a lot of brokenness, out here. But when I say to them, hey, go, that's prostitution. You can just go pay for sex. You can,
Yeah.
fly to Vegas and have you one hell of a weekend or whatever. Be real. And then it's like, oh, I ain't paying for no sex. Okay, all right. So what's
If you
going
have a
on with
relationship,
that?
yeah.
So what is going on with that, Coach Renz?
That's because it's the see now you're paying for it no matter what, but it's how you pay for it is the problem here. That's why the idea of just going and paying, it's been created in our minds that going to pay for sex directly and it's a straight up contract. I'm gonna give you $200. This is what you're going to do for me for $200. That has been ingrained in our society and our mind that that's a negative thing. But you still paying for it either way. Hey, we're in the same household. I'm paying mortgage. I'm paying rent. I'm paying food. I'm paying for gas and clothes and cars and all this. You still paying for it. It's just that it's sorry. You just that it's a little bit different, just a different format. But you're still paying for it. And actually, if that's all you really wanted, you're better off just doing that, or just getting a friend with benefit. You got that one person that you're going to have sex with, and you may, wind up, paying a bill here, bill there, getting the nails done, hair done, whatever it is. You still paying for it, unless y'all can have a mutual agreement that y'all just going, hey, we ain't exchanging no money. We both have a sexual need, and we just gonna be, you know, surrogates of that for each other. But there are other ways that a dude can do it, but he's still gonna wind up paying somehow. And the most important thing that he doesn't realize is that he's gonna pay for it with his mind, and he's actually gonna pay for it with his emotion. He's gonna pay for it with his inability to grow and develop and actually have a true relationship. And when he's old, he's gonna regret all of that. So the biggest payment that he's paying is the damage that he's doing to himself. And that's where he doesn't realize. He thinks everything's just gonna be fine and great, fine and great. But when he's sitting there lonely at night by himself, that's when he's paying for it the most. When he's old, that's when he's gonna pay for it the most. Because he's gonna be lonely and depressed. And he's gonna go through all kinds of emotional issues and mental issues at that point. So that's the biggest payment. He doesn't even realize.
Well, yeah, you can make yourself sick. You can create your own mental illness just by creating ridiculous codes that you've decided that you're going to live by. That's contrary to us as humans. The true power of the human touch. A dog will come and force their head under your hand, when they want to pat on the head. That lets you know right there how powerful the human touch is.
Right.
But, these men that, and again, whoop-de-doo if that's working out for you. But it's just sad because that they're disconnected. You know what they're heading towards. And it's not going to be pretty when they get there because they would have pushed everyone away, with the drama, with the crap. Now, that leads me to my next question. When you hear men say, I'm happy. I got a nice house. I got a nice car. I got a couple of motorcycles. I'm doing my thing. Why in the world would I bring a woman into that and mess that up? What are they really saying, Coach?
Well, this answer is stealing part of my it's not stealing, but it's part of my live on the Tantric channel. Okay. Because we do lives on Wednesday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Tantric channel, the Tantric relationship channel. We do Tuesdays and Thursdays for the spiritual channel, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. But one of the things I was going to talk about is two parts. Is why men financially don't want to get married, and then how to have a marriage based on one income. Is it possible? So, as far as why men don't want to get married when they bought the house, they got their house, they got their money. One of the first reasons is because they've been burned before. They've been married, they went through a divorce, and they lost half their shit. Or if not half, they lost close to half or even more than half. There's a gentleman who comes into the lounge and he openly expresses it, so I don't mind saying it. But he had all kinds of memorabilia, cars. I mean, this is high-end stuff, things that are worth tens of thousands of dollars, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. Very well-off dude, well-off gentleman. Wind up losing $800,000 in the divorce. He is burnt so badly from that he refuses to get married again because he thinks the next one is going to take even more from it. So he doesn't want to get married. And as a relationship gets closer and closer to becoming a marriage, he ends the relationship because he doesn't want it to ever get to that point where he may possibly lose all his money again or half his money. So there are men who feel burned from previous relationships because of that. And then the other end of that is just men who are in love with the material. They've heard the stories of other people. They love their house. They love their cars. They love all that. They think that if a woman comes in, she's going to take all of it if she leaves, or she's going to change it. All right. She's going to change those things. Like I drive a convertible car right now. If I got with a woman who has small children, do I have to give up that convertible and get an SUV? I ride motorcycles right now. If I get married to a woman, is she going to be so safety conscious that she's going to restrict my ability to ride my bike? Is she going to come in and start changing the way my house looks? And now my house don't look like my house no more. It looks like her house. So I've even though I paid a mortgage, I've lost my house because she's come in and changed everything in the house. That sense of it's all about me will get lost because they don't want to do, and it's all about us. Now, I'm not saying you have to give up anything, to a certain degree. You have to merge to a certain degree. My car, I'm not giving up my car. If there needs to be an SUV, we just have to figure out a way to get an SUV, but I'm not giving up my car. Up front, I ride motorcycles and I ride cross country. If you got a problem with that, I need to have
you just don't go.
Yeah, just don't go with
I mean, if you ride motorcycles and she has a problem with your cross countryness, then she just doesn't need to get on the back of it.
Right.
Just don't go.
But if she's going to complain and worry and whine the whole time, see, this is different though. If she's going to, like, as the build up for the trip comes and she's all worried and she's stressing me and she's putting all this negative energy into my trip, well, you effectively ruined the trip before I even got started. So for me, it's the upfrontness of saying, I'm just not going to date a person who has a problem with it.
Well, that's what I was going to say. We don't get into those situations without knowing well before the quote unquote committed move in phase happens. I mean, if somebody is a negative worrywart, you're going to know before they ever move into your home.
You will, but whether you choose to recognize it and act on it, because you got to remember, she fine.
Right.
She got that good.
I know how it happens, and but why don't say those things? That's what I'm saying. Say those things that it was never her, it was me. I found it to be very desirable. I ignored all of that, and so this is what I'm left with.
What? You want people to take responsibility for their own actions? Are you serious? People don't take responsibility for their own actions. We got to have a scapegoat. We got to blame somebody else. Okay. We can't take our own. We can't look at ourselves. You want people to look inward, inside themselves, and recognize that they made the choice. I can tell you right now, I know my bad picking, the picks that I've made that were bad, that weren't for me. I can pretty much go back for the most part, except for two. Um, well, let me rephrase, except for three. One was just a growing up thing. Started real young, just grew up and grew different. Two, I just picked bad. Two, I couldn't. Well, let me rephrase. Two, I didn't see any. The playbook was ran very well. Put it that way. The playbook was ran very well. But all others, I just initially picked bad, and then once I recognized that this is not a good situation, then I had to move it along. Move it on, get away from it.
Right.
Sometimes, and within the first 6 months, you're going to see those things. Like I said, only two people have been able to play the role for a year and a half. All others within 6 months,
the canvas starts to crack. Yes.
Right. That representative starts going away. You start seeing the real person. You start seeing the real habits, the real mentality, the real attitude. You start seeing all that, and then, but you're trying to change all that. You're trying to keep it back, because men, when we meet women, we don't want them to change at all from what we first met. We want them to stay exactly the same way. That's how we function. That's right. why I tell women.
Is that realistic though?
Huh?
Is that realistic?
Hell yeah, it's realistic. I'm gonna tell you why it's realistic. Okay. And this is where I'm gonna flip the script just a little bit here. It's realistic if we can convince, and men do it too, but if we can convince women, and I'm just speaking from a man perspective, if we can convince women to stop showing us representatives and show us themselves right up front. Stop trying to be what they think we want and just be themselves. Now, I know every woman is going to say, I'm always myself. I'm always myself. No, you're not. You put your best foot forward every time. Just like when you go for a job interview, you sit there and you make yourself be the model employee. And then you get there and 6 months later, you hate the job. You complain about the job. You don't like the water cooler. You don't like the bathroom. You don't like how this person, that person. You don't like how responsibilities are delved out. Nah, you're not working as hard as you first was working when you first got there. When you first got there, you was about that business of getting the job done, go home. Now you're hanging out, you having conversations, you taking longer lunches, you doing all this other stuff that you weren't doing when you first got there. Your relationship is the same way. And I tell women this when I date them. Don't show me anything you're not gonna keep doing. If you do, I will call you on it. I will give you one opportunity to correct it. But if you keep showing that you're gonna try to yo-yo me, I will end it. I'm not gonna stay in something that I don't like. And these are the 2-3 things that I'm not putting up with. But I even had a woman, I told her, I am going to move out of this country within a certain time frame. Don't deal with me if you got to stay here. 2 years later, you can't just move. You got to consider what I want. Oh, hell no. A marriage won't keep me in America. That's not going to happen. So you can't come back and try to change the narrative later on. It's not going to change. She knew that in the beginning. She knew in the beginning. So she should have said so in the beginning. Then we'd have never gotten into the relationship.
You do recognize that doesn't change the rule, but you do recognize that there are the exceptions to it. There
are exceptions.
Because
that I look for is the exceptions.
But if I put myself into the equation, I don't know what a representative of me would look like. There's not going to be one man that's going to tell you that he didn't meet who I am out the gate. Because again, self-development, I just think if you have a facade, you've always had a facade.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody likes me, I know that they really like me because I'm bringing me all day long, even growing up, So, and then if he doesn't, I'm the woman that you're going to like me or dislike me, and it's going to be for the same thing.
Right.
If I'm straightforward, and you don't like that, then you ain't gonna like me. But if you appreciate that, then you're gonna like me.
I,
That's just what it is. Because I don't have time, and I've kind of been an old soul. Like I didn't want to be bothered with all of that fakey fake, stuff. Like I'm not gonna tell you I'm gonna do something. If I don't want to do it, I'm not going to do it, and I'm not gonna do it to try to appease you. Like I like to cook, but a man can't ask me to cook for him. Reason being, now here we go. Like you said, wait a minute. You now you're trying to make it be like a job. This is a leisure, fun thing for me. And you can benefit from it if you like to eat. But you're not going to be calling up, putting in orders and things like that. Um, I will come to you when I want to do that. And I'm like you, and I'm telling you that up front. I love to cook, but you can't be putting in orders, because now you're trying to turn it into, like this job, and I cook every day, so I don't need you to do that because that's going to irritate me. And like you, I'm just going to move on.
right.
Because
And if you explain that to a man up front, and
yeah,
then most men are gonna be like, you know what, I'm not gonna say nothing. I'm gonna let you do what you do. But then if 6 months later he's starting to try to tell you what groceries to get and what he wants to eat and all that without you asking, because I'm sure you would say, hey, what would you like? Was there something that you would like to have this week? Then he can respond at that point.
right.
But if he's just putting it out there, I'm with you. But then he flips the script. But that's that representative that he put out. He should have accepted, okay, now I want a woman that I can tell her what the menu is.
Well, see,
And
then he's putting out the representative because he should have said that when
right.
I told him what I was saying.
Yeah. And that's why I said men put that representative out as well. It's just not as big of a representative as what women put out, is what I'm saying. Because women will get themselves all situated to attract the man. And then they're looking for the man to come in and close the deal. That's why I always say women choose. Women got the power. Women choose. Men just close the deal. Right? So, but you can't display yourselves in a situation in a way that is not your true self, even though most women are going to claim that. We we have these conversations in here, and every woman has always said, this is just who I am, this is just who I am, this is just who I am. But then the deeper I dig into their psyche, the deeper I dig into their past relationships, I come to realize that no, that's not who you are. That's who you are in the beginning. And then the old excuse comes out. Both men and women will say this. Well, that's the honeymoon phase.
we live in America. We got to put a label on everything.
Yeah, but that bothers me because there's no phase. You should never be in a phase. Now, change is a constant of the universe. Things do change. You're with somebody, a parent passes away. That could change their behavior. A child passes away. That could change their behavior. They move to a new country or a new city, and they really hate that place, or they miss their friends and family. That could change their personality, not in a negative way. Now, all those things could change their personality in a positive way as well. But I'm just saying change happens. And that you do have to recognize change. And sometimes the change is too great. But I'm not talking. So before anybody would comment about change happens and you have to adjust to change, true, you do have to try to adjust to change. Every moment you're having a new experience that actually changes who you are. It's a slow process. But you have to be willing. And this is where I messed up in my first marriage. I wasn't adjusting us to still come together in the changes that we were going through from being married at 19 years old. I didn't do a good job of that, of making sure as we experienced different things, we still came together and still instead of going apart. But I'm 51 now. You should know who you are. You should know what kind of life you want to live. Where do you want to live? What do you do with your life? How are you sexually? How do you dress? How do you act in different public situations? How do you act in private situations? Like, You should know that by now. So there's no reason to put out something that you're not. You know, you shouldn't put out something you're not.
But see, that's my point. When I see that 50 plus with the nonsense, and I'm talking about on both sides of the fence, I know that if we take a page out of Maslow's book, I know that they're not actualizing to true self. They're still not there yet. And who's to say they may never get there, or it's just going to take them longer. But again, these also seem like the people with all of the just rhetoric coming out of their mouth, people who don't know who they are. And like you said, people putting out, I've gone to cigar events and people have said to me, oh, you were supposed to dress up, right? And I said, oh, no. I wear what I want to wear to feel comfortable when I'm going somewhere. That's what I do. There's no dress code. This is an event. And they have a tagline, but only thing that the cigar establishment really wants from me is to purchase those cigars and have a nice time at the end of the day. If you want to partake in, Jersey night or whatever it may be, but again, if you find me attractive in my sweatsuit, then it's going to only go up from there. That's the way I see it. But I'm going to be comfortable, and I don't prefer to wear my really, really, really nice clothes and get a lot of smoke in it because, the guy that does my dry cleaning already told me all the chemicals that he has to put in it to get the smoke out will break that material down. And he said, and it doesn't matter how expensive. He says, your clothes are too expensive for you to be messing them up with the smoke. He said, get you some stuff that you don't care if it gets messed up or not. So that's education, because I wasn't thinking about that.
Right.
But once he told me that, I'm like, oh, say no more. Now, you might catch me really, really fly in the lounge. I'm coming from somewhere, and I'm just sticking my head in, type of thing. Because, again, I don't have a representative for you. I have to be who I am. I have to be comfortable. And you have to appreciate that because I don't have the expectation for you. I like to know that you can put on some clothes and you will put on some clothes and you will trim up and look really nice, if we're going to a specific destination. But I don't have a need for you to just, be super fly. If you want to run around with some slinky stuff, I like slinky stuff. It's cool sometimes, it ain't always got to be that. You understand what I'm saying?
No, I understand. And that's what a person should understand right off the whip. And then if that doesn't jive with them, then they should say, well, this is the extent of a relationship we can have and not try to push it beyond that boundary. Like I'm somewhat opposite of you when it comes to a woman that's with me. I am a dress and skirt kind of guy. I am a heels kind of guy, like flats and tennis shoes and shit like that. Unless we're going to work out, going for a nature walk, doing something around the house, hell no. We had a big discussion in here about moo-moos.
What are moo-moos?
Huh?
What are moo-moos?
Moo-moo, the big ass cape dress that your grandmama wore.
Oh, that's what it's called. Oh, okay.
You walk around the house and it got that big gaping open right here, and all that side boob is showing and all that kind of stuff. Okay. There's one guy, he loves the moo-moo, loves them. When I had got married, some lady thought it was a great gift to give her a moo-moo. I put that shit in the trash. You're not wearing, and she knew it right off. She knew that beforehand. I never want to see my woman in a moo-moo. And if a woman said, well, but it's comfortable, and they love it because it's comfortable and all that, but you're not wearing that around me. You're not, and I don't even want the possibility of it because I hate those things. It may be petty, a small thing, Really, he making that big a deal out of the move? What if she wants to be comfortable? Okay, you better find something else to be comfortable in. But you're not gonna be comfortable in that with me. I'm not that. That's not my. I don't like that. And I think everybody has a right, like you said earlier, to like what they like. I like.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, and I'm always very upfront, because you might have caught me, um, my last job. I might be coming from court and I had to be dressed a certain way. I'm in court, um, but I tell you up front, no, if I feel like wearing a sweatsuit and my sneakers or whatever, that's what I'm going to do. But athletics is a very big part of my life. Pay for my college, very big part. I had an uncle play professional, baseball, very big, important piece of my life. And
Right.
so the guy for me is the guy that understands that that's a very important big piece of my life. And and certainly, if God forbid, I plan on living till I'm 150, but
Don't steal my number.
okay, well,
You
150,
know that's my number.
151. But
Okay.
what I'm saying is, I can, you can just go in my closet and put me on something to bury me in, because my wardrobe is set for any and all occasions. But in terms of going about my routine day, because I do things a lot of women won't do. Like, my father taught me how to snake out a toilet. So I'm gonna turn the water off and I'm gonna lift up that toilet, and I'm gonna snake it out, because I'm not gonna pay $275, nor do I think the man should. If I know how to do it, let's just snake it out, unblock it, put it back down, turn the water on, and go on about our business. Most women aren't gonna do that. I understand. Like, I'll change a flat tire. There's things that I'm going to do, because I was taught those things, by the father, right? My uncles, they taught me things. My brother,
Right.
even taught me things that one day you might have to do. And if you know how to, you know what, it's going to save you some money. Just put the gloves on. I got the big thick gloves. Because no, I'm not gonna. It's fecal matter possibly, so I'm not gonna just be raw, right? But again, that's why you don't give the representatives.
No, you don't.
That's why you don't give the representatives. Um, and again, change is important. We can't we can't put two worlds together and expect, once you come together, just that alone has produced the change, right?
Indeed, it has.
And what I really hear men saying is, and certainly not all, is, I don't want the accountability. I don't want the responsibility. And to your earlier point, at a emotional, mature level, they don't even know how to nurture the whole process of it anyway. But also, it's easier to blame and to bash. But if you submit to a man, like if you tell a man, well, hey, why don't you just go, get you a transgender? Now they're offended because magnitude. So that's what I'm going to move into in our closing. Do you think that men, uh, and the reason why I'm doing this segment, and if you notice, I'm doing a lot of listening, uh, because I think it's important that, especially for us as women, that we listen, to men. And I knew that Renz would bring the thunder. I knew that he's just going to be who he is, uh, because I don't bring fakers onto the platform. Uh, and I'm saying that to say this. Do you think that men understand the magnitude of the things that they say and how they phrase it because it leads you to thinking. Because as a woman, I'm sitting there thinking, it sounds like to me that you want to be with a man.
Mm-hmm.
But it says a woman, if I say that to him, you know, that's
Right.
not going to be good. But do you think they understand the magnitude? I would love to be in a relationship, but I don't want to do the work. Or why would I bring a woman into this and mess it up? I don't want somebody at my neck, and I don't want a headache, and I don't want just all of this negative stuff. And like you said, well, you can have that. So is it the social stigma that you're afraid of to go to the transvestite? But then if you say to that same guy, oh, well, you just want some sex. Oh, well, no, it's not about sex. I want to have a good conversation, a stimulating conversation. It's just all over the place. So my question is, do they really understand the magnitude of the stuff that comes out of their mouth?
Yes and no.
Mhm.
If a man says that to a woman, he understands it to the magnitude. He does understand that. Okay, if a man says that to a woman, he's saying that because that's not the woman he wants to be with. Whomever woman he's talking to, he doesn't either that's not a woman he wants to be with, or he's already decided that that's not a woman that he can get. Right. So if he's already established, like he says that to you, somewhere along in y'all first conversation, he's already realized that either you're not the woman for him, or he's not capable of getting you as a woman. So then he doesn't care how it comes across to you. Now he's just speaking the truth to himself, but he doesn't worry about how you're going to respond to it, because he can't get you. He can't put forth that personality that says, I can get you, even though what I truly want is that sex slave maid who also makes some money. He know he can't get you, so he can say it. But when he's saying it amongst a bunch of dudes, he's looking for confirmation. He's looking for other men to sit up there and agree with him and say that you're right, to push up to push his agenda, to push his mindset, to say that I'm thinking correctly, because he wants to be confirmed. So he only understands the magnitude of it on an outside, on the periphery. He doesn't really understand the magnitude of it that it's going inside of his own self, of what he's really saying to himself, that he's setting himself up to be in this situation where what he really does want is a transvestite, but society says no. What he does really want is a woman that's just going to be a sex slave maid, but society says no to that. He's not being his true self, because he's not saying that. He's not realizing how much damage he's doing to himself and the magnitude to himself. To everybody else, he don't care. He just wants them to affirm him. Or for you as a woman, he's saying it to you. He's trying to justify also in his mind, it's not that you don't want him, you just not the right woman for him. So let me say some things that's going to throw you even more off, so he can justify to himself that I didn't want her anyway, even though he really does want you, but he just says I don't. But he want to clarify to himself that he doesn't really, that he doesn't want you. So he's trying to convince himself of that, stack up more evidence of that.
Let me be sure I understand what you're saying. You're saying that because I think more often than not, it's he can't get that particular woman that he really, really wants, because emotionally he can't deliver, or B, all the reasons he can't, or choose not to, or whatever. Are you saying that he goes into that mode to try to maybe solicit some type of wow response from the woman, just to say, see, that's what I'm talking about right there. Just to again affirm.
Yeah, well, yes and no. So he's I'm sorry, my phone just keeps doing this. Um, he's identified that he can't get you, right? I'm gonna use you. He's identified that he can't get you because he's manslicking, as you say. He's manslicking.
Man flicking.
He's manslicking. All right. His true desirable woman is something that society and his own upbringing says that he can't have. But that's who he truly wants. All right. But he needs to get confirmation that he can't have you by making sure that you don't fit that criteria. So he's in a no-win situation.
So wait a minute, are you talking about some type? That sounds more like cognitive dissonance.
It is.
Okay.
Because he really wants the transvestite, or he really wants the sex slave maid. That's what he really wants. But society says no. His upbringing is saying no. But you are present. You are a woman. He finds you attractive. He finds you intellectually stimulating. But you don't fit into what he truly, truly wants at his core that he doesn't even want to admit to himself. So now I gotta justify why you and I can't be together. So let me tell you these things and say these things that are actually true to myself, but that I don't want to admit. But I know you're not going to go for it either. Because I know if I came to you and I said, look here, Sports-A-Delic, what I want from you is I just want you to be my sex slave. I just want you to come and clean my house. I want you to cook for me. I do want you to go work because I want you to pay some of these bills. I don't want you telling me where I can and cannot go. Don't call me if I'm not home at 3 o'clock in the morning. You just sit there, wait for me. If I come in, I want to go to sleep, I go to sleep. If I come in and I want to get some, be ready to get some. That's not going to work with you. He can't say that. But that's what he really wants. But now that he know that you're not that woman, I got to say these things so that you can reject and we can have this argument. And then, yes, I can then say, see, all you want to do is take my money. All you want to do is change my life. All you want to do is control me. That's all you really want to do. And that's why none of these women, they ain't no good women out here.
Oh my God, forgive me. But let's just say I've already been there. And then he flips that off and says, okay, Sports-A-Delic, I want you to be like slave, this, that, and the other. And I already know that it wasn't gratifying. Like, I just think, if you're really not delivering and you're really not putting it down, you have to be careful what you ask for. Because as women, we might go along with that if you're putting it down, because it's something in it for us. You know what I'm saying? But if if you're not delivering on all cylinders, you don't need to. Let me speak for myself. You don't need to be asking me nothing.
And this is why some men lead with their wallet, because they know that there are women out there that if they live with their wallet, the idea of financial security, which is something that most women want. They want to have financial security. You see that in the animal kingdom. You see that in humans. They want security. If a man leads with his wallet and he's showing that I can provide you financial security, physical protection, then I should be able to get the sex slave maid. I should be able to get it. And that's why they'll lead with that. Now, it doesn't matter if they are, laying it down, because there are plenty of women who will take that check. Plenty of them take that check. His ping might not even work, but they'll take that check. And they'll say, it's okay, it's all right. They lying, but they'll say that and they'll put up with it and they'll deal with it. And men who are making certain amounts of money, they know that those women are out there. It can be some good on camera.
It still seems to be that it would still be a lonely place. And I say that because I remember, I'm not going to say who, but it's a celebrity. And he says, Rima, I know. I grew up with this face. And I remember always being picked on, teased, and all of these things. And I made it, in the NBA. I know I'm not a good looking guy. I know I'm not. He said, I've accepted that as far back as when I was 10 years old. Because this is it, unless I reconstruct my whole face. And he said, and I know some of these beautiful women that I, you know, had on my arm or been in bed with or whatever. I know, I know it's the money. And I said, so how do you live and operate like? He said it's a very lonely, lonely world. But he's just figured if I'm gonna do it, I might as well try to get the ones that I see that I'm really gratified by.
Right.
Because it has to be really, really, sad to know that, take the money away I and he said I thank God every day for the NBA because and I me, I'm an encourager. I was like, look, uh, there's a woman out there. The problem is because of your status, you don't want her, and she probably finds you to be handsome because as women we can fall in love with a feature. I just like I've heard women say, I like, oh, I mean, I know this grill is jacked up, but it's comical cute. Like they'll rationalize it, and he
Yep.
don't even have money. But then they go into, I like the way he treats me. We have fun together. I know he doesn't look the best, this that, and the other. He's putting it down. And so it's a win for me. That's where most men aren't going to be that gracious a lot of times. A lot of times.
They're not. It's
Yeah.
funny. Off camera. I had the exact same conversation with an NBA player over 20 years ago. And if I was a betting man, I would put money on the fact that we probably had the same conversation with the same person.
He probably did. That's why I don't say names.
Yeah,
But
I wouldn't say the name either
yeah,
because
he's like, I'm ugly as hell. He said,
yeah,
it's just no way around it. When I got the money, I tried to fix, my teeth. That didn't do it. Like he said, it's nothing worse than to be warming up, the NBA game, and you see women cringing when they look at you. I'm like, oh, come on. It ain't. He's like, no, I'm being real.
yeah,
But he said, no, he said, look, he said, Raymond, I'm telling you, this has been, my life. He said, and it's a sad, lonely, miserable place. Um, because what people don't understand about happiness, they just don't understand it's relative to what's going on.
yep,
Like we're having a great time. We've had our morning tea, our morning coffee, smoking the stick we want to smoke. We're having a great conversation. And we can get a text or a phone call that occupies the next 5 or 6 hours that has totally destroyed the happiness in that moment, right?
mm-hmm.
And so when people say, I just want to be happy, well, no, you're talking about reasonable happiness. Because there's going to be some strife, there's going to be some adversity, but it also builds character if you allow it to. It's just this animosity within our race and within our culture. And I have been around other races and cultures for extended periods of time. So I know exactly what I'm talking about. These are not the things that they sit around and talk about. Like, they don't care about paying the tab. They don't feel like, well, just because. And I asked him, I said, well, do you think so little of yourself that you think that the only time a woman is going to call you is when she wants you to pick up the tab? Because that's what you're saying. That's what I said when I don't think they realize the magnitude. But I'm a professional listener. Most people don't listen effectively.
Hmm.
attune when they're listening. And so I said, do you realize what you're really saying? Did you think that little of yourself? And then why are you allowing it? You know, where could you possibly go that's so outrageous that you're going to be outraged by picking up the tab? I mean, we live in Atlanta. We only have maybe three bona fide 5 stars, maybe,
Maybe.
maybe. And
Yeah.
there's some really, really, really nice taverns, but again, where could you possibly be going? Uh, because my situation has always been the opposite. I have to let a guy know, no, 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 no. Just because I bought you a drink or I picked up the tab, that doesn't mean that I'm into you. You don't know me, so you don't know that that's who I am. So I have to just tell you, like, I enjoyed the conversation. I like to see people smile. And if I can make your day, oh my God, it's just a beer. That's what I'm saying to myself. But because he says it doesn't happen for us. So it's
No.
more than a beer. So I've had to be more sensitive to understanding, right? Because that's the feedback, that I get. But it doesn't mean that I won't exchange numbers. It doesn't mean, we can talk for 2 or 3 hours and have a nice evening. And then the tab comes, I got it. Because I appreciate the conversation, you know.
Right.
And I understand that makes me the unicorn and all of that. But I'm not going to allow someone to change who I am as well. Because I have asked the question, if I buy you a drink, will you leave me alone? I'm willing to do
Damn.
that. I'm willing to do that as well.
Okay.
Whatever hey, give him another Macallan's, put it on my tab. And we ting glasses and he walk on away from me. And and that's okay. Because this peace that people talk about, see,
Yeah.
I don't want, and I'm not going to sit anywhere and have a negative conversation with someone. I don't want the energy. So I just have to pay to have that energy move somewhere else, and I'm willing to do that.
I'm with you because you got to have that peace within yourself first. That's the peace has got to come from you. It can't come from someone else. And then you just can't allow other people to disturb your peace.
Right.
So a lot of these people who claiming that they want peace, they don't even have it within themselves yet. So
Right.
if they got to get it within themselves, and once they get it within themselves, they can feel when somebody's disturbing their peace, and then they can move on. And then they can feel that person that's adding to their peace. And
Right.
again, and that's what a relationship should be. We shouldn't be taking from each other, but adding to each other. You add to my peace, you add to my motivation, you add to my happiness, you add to, my health, you add to my joy, you add to all those things.
Well, can we agree? Can we agree that uh, more often than not, the men that are harping about a woman disrupting their peace and not wanting to be in a relationship because it's such a disruption. Can we agree that that they really just don't recognize that they are their problem?
We can agree to that. Most of them do not realize that they are their own problem,
Yeah,
and
there's
they
just
need to
no
solve
self
their own.
aware. Yeah, there's no self awareness.
What's the old saying? No, to thine own self be true, and they're not. They got to have that self awareness. It's
And
the greatest journey.
they think they are. Go ahead.
I was just saying it's the greatest journey, but you're right. They think that they are, but they haven't realized that they're not. And that's the biggest problem. They haven't recognized that they are the problem.
Well, let me ask you this question. What about the guy that doesn't like I actually had this happen and this is what I said to the guy. I said, well, it sounds like to me that you don't really have a high respect for women. Um, and And you definitely don't seem to appreciate or really know their true value in a positive functioning environment.
Hmm.
Um, and if I am so bad, I have to ask you, why do you keep calling me? I would think that you would just not call and want to be in contact with anyone that possess all of these negative things. Or are you just lying? That's, so why do we have men out here that are bashing a woman to death and calling her and blowing up her phone all at the same time?
That's actually a very good question. That they're bashing women, but they're calling you. And in truth,
Well, I can tell. Wait, hold on. I'm gonna tell you what he told me. Because I asked the question. I said, you know what? Why don't you just leave me alone? Like, it seems to be such a difficult task for you. I said because as a therapist, I think I might be the only one that listens to it, to be honest with you. But um, I said, why? 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 And he says, oh, well, I enjoy, talking to you.
hmm
We get along and blah, all of this, stuff. It's just, when you start acting like a woman, with that woman stuff, that's when I have the problem. I said, well, you can always call a dude. And then he said, what are you trying? What you saying? What you trying to call me gay? I said, there's a lot worse things in the world other than being gay. Let me tell you what's worse than being gay. You. I said, you're actually worse than being gay because you spend time calling women that you have a problem with who and how they are, and you say you enjoy it. So, you know,
see that dude, there's a part of you that he desires to have greatly. And he wants
well,
that part. But he doesn't want the other part. But he wants that part because he can't find that part anywhere else. Because that part, in order to get it, he has to take on the whole thing. But he doesn't want the whole thing.
right.
And and all the way back to the beginning, he really wants the transvestite. That way he can have that part of you plus what he truly, truly wants, which is a dude. And he's going to
Well,
keep blowing you up until you stop him. He's going to keep blowing you up because that little part of you that he can consistently get from you, that translates to care or love for him. And he wants that deeply. He wants that care. He wants that love. He wants that companionship. And he can get it from you. So he's going to keep calling you. But he knows that he can't have that part without getting the rest. But you're not going to give him that part without the rest. So he's going to bash you just like he bashed all other women because they're doing the same thing. You can't have this part without getting the rest. You can't have a piece of me. You got to have all of me.
well, I told him, I said, you, I said, I think that you might have been attractive in 2009, but you're not attractive now, not to me. Um, I said, like, I don't know. I said, people evolve, people change, call it whatever you want, but whomever this person is, isn't someone that's attractive. I can't take you anywhere because some kind of way you're going to monopolize the conversation to be about you and what you got that everybody at the table has. It's not a conversation. I mean, I don't think we should celebrate the fact that we're 50 plus and have a job and a home and stuff and a car. You know what I'm saying? These are basic necessities that you have to have: food, clothing, shelter, right? But
Shit, I think we both might know this person too.
yeah, I mean, it's like, these are not, and I said, and nobody wants to hear that. Not the circles that I be in. We're not going to be sitting around talking about
Right.
our homes and cars and stuff.
And if they had nothing but bad experiences with women because that's what they attract and that's who they are, then they're going to keep attracting that same thing over and over again. But you are providing a refuge for them. They also see you as a refuge. They see that part of you that they like. That's a refuge for them to be able to go to and get a little bit of peace. But then, of course, they mess it up when they start getting into the bashing. And then you're not siding with them, reaffirming their bashing. So now you put yourself in that situation. Now you put yourself in the same category as the other women that he says that he doesn't want to have in his life, but he's putting you in that to reaffirm his past and his past experiences.
Yeah, I said, look, you're the type of guy that if you aren't a man of your word, if you're a liar, and a woman calls you out on that, that then becomes in your neck and on your neck, or, you know, that woman shit and all of that. Because I've noticed it's not until you get called out about your bullshit that the bashing comes. So
Right.
I said, you know, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure this out. I said, but let me tell you what you need to understand about me. Because I think he reached out, and he reached out like 3 or 4 days before Thanksgiving to say happy Thanksgiving and all of this kind of stuff. And then told me after the fact that he noticed I didn't respond, you know, to it. And I said, well, the value that you hold with me is I answer the call or I respond if I want to hear some negative energy, if I'm in a space where I can endure it for 2 or 3 minutes. And so if I'm not, then I just don't respond, because that's just who you are. And I understand that's who you are. You don't understand that that's who you are. And I'm okay with it. You know,
Right.
I just try to challenge you and have you stop doing these stupid things. Because I don't call people that, you know, that there's a plethora of drama and stuff. Hence is why you're not getting bombarded with telephone calls from me. Now, if I want to hear you talk about you, because I look at you as a character, because you don't know this, and I told him, I said, you don't know this. I guarantee you, when you walk in the room, wherever you go, there's probably going to be 20% of the people like, oh hell, here he comes, Mr. Everything. I said, you don't seem to know when people are laughing at you. You think that they're laughing with you. And that's been all through your childhood. So,
Oh, there are so many like that.
yeah. Just,
And they don't.
They come in the lounge, you know, and we know who they are, and we know that, okay, everybody's saying to themselves, okay, let's gear up to see what nonsense get ready to come out of his mouth.
Yep. Here comes such and such with his bullshit.
Right.
Here comes such and such with her bullshit.
Yeah, they want you to co-sign the BS.
Yeah.
And then they won't even let you agree with them.
No, you can't.
Yeah, because he says, you know, Black women are some of the more honoring, you know, women in the world. I said, okay.
Yeah. And that's not agreeable, because he had a whole soliloquy that he wanted to go through, but he can't go through it now because you just took it away, you know, from him.
Because when he tries to start, I said, whoa. I said, okay, I don't want to hear all the stuff. We are some of the most honoring people in the world, Black women. Okay.
Yeah. And see, when those guys come in, those people come into my presence, I don't know why they keep coming, because they know that if I disagree with them, I'm going to make sure they understand.
Rip them to shreds.
See, I was going to be nice, but yes, I'm going to tear that shit up like a piece of wet tissue paper, because their argument is always, when it's filled with the finite terms, every, I'm going to break all of that down. And then I'm going to break you down as to why you are saying that. because, and I'm not doing it to be mean or spiteful. I do it because I want them to recognize the problem that's inside themselves, so that they can actually have a better life and relationships. Because as long as they're holding on to that, they're never going to let go. And I know I got this messed up thing in me where I always try to help people, and I recognize that help doesn't always come soft. You know, my inner Mufasa comes out. Sometimes I got to be rough. Sometimes I can be nice, but it's relative to the person. If you can't adjust to the nice part, let me give you some rough part. You know, let me try to figure out what may click with you. But if you want to stay stubborn and stupid, I'm gonna let you stay stubborn and stupid, and then I'm just gonna tear your ass up every time you come through. You know, eventually you're gonna leave, but it seems that they like that too, and they keep coming back.
That's what I was gonna say. You know, he hasn't crossed me in a way that I would just completely block him. You know what I'm saying? Because again, I think at a mental health level, I might practice with him, use him like as a practice dummy.
Right.
And so hopefully he won't see this, because he's probably know that I'm talking about him. And then maybe he'll block me, and then okay, you know. But
he'll be all right.
Yeah, we both will.
Yeah. There are people who've only seen my different podcasts, and they've never met me, but through the grapevine, because you know this is a small cigar community, but it's very big. It's big, but it's small. Information gets passed real quickly and real easily. You got people who say, I don't like him. They say it differently. I don't like that MF. Never met me before in their life, but they've heard. They've seen podcasts. They've heard things, you know, things I've said to other people in the lounge. And I honestly believe that they don't want to, you know, be around me because they know that they can't freely say some of these things without some pushback. And they know my pushback doesn't come weak. And that my pushback comes with a lot of logic mixed in with the emotion.
Are you saying that we now have, if we wanted to put an adjective on it, can we describe these men as they're just walking wet pieces of?
With what?
Can we describe them as just they're walking around as just wet pieces of paper?
That's all. Yeah, wet. Wet pieces of booty dressing. Wet
Right.
pieces.
And what's funny is the cluster that I speak of, they think that they are the smartest men. They think that they're the greatest catch.
Yeah.
And I tell them, I said, well, you're not a great catch to me. Why don't you go be a great catch to, you know, someone else?
And they need to realize that. I mean, I realize that. I am a prize, but I'm not a prize to every woman. All right. To some women, I am not. Like, I've never been in a bar and a woman bought me a drink that I wasn't there with. I've been out with a woman and she's bought me a drink, but I've never just been in a bar and then a woman buys me a drink, or we have a conversation like you were saying, and then the woman says, you know what, I had a great conversation. This don't mean I want to be with you, but I got the tab. That ain't ever happened to me. So
that's not true, because hold on, get that look off your face. I was at your lounge. I got up to go get me a bottle of water, and I asked you, Renz, would you like for me to grab your bottle of water while I'm over here? Did I not?
That don't count. First of all, it's at my lounge, so it doesn't count. And then it's a bottle of water. That doesn't count.
That's the best replenisher in the world.
It is, but it don't count. That's not, you know, Renz, I know your favorite bottle of wine is Fitz-Zimmer Specialaser. I'm going to go buy you a bottle of that. That would count. That don't count. Bottle of water at my own place doesn't count. People buy me stuff anyway because I'm the owner and they got great customer service, or we had a great conversation or something like that. And they'd be like, you know what?
I'm glad that you said that because now you've walked right into it. I remember I left the lounge, because I wanted to go get me something to eat. And what did I do? Did I bring you something back? Because you were only eating vegetables, you was only doing the salad thing. Did I not do that?
I can't remember.
Or you saying I did it because of your customer service?
But it was because of my customer. I can't remember, but it was because of my customer service. It was because,
and I'm gonna let you think that. I think it was because of who I am. I think it was because of who I am.
Right.
But fair enough. Fair enough.
You may have, and I will submit to that. It probably happened, so I have to take it back. But to my memory, that's never happened to me in my life.
Because I remember your reaction. You were like, it's for me. See, I patronized the business. I love the ATL popcorn. So I got sticks, I got popcorn, and I brought you a nice salad. And I can only tell you, it ain't have nothing to do with your customer service. It's who I am. I didn't want to sit there and eat in front of you. I thought that would be rude. Because I know sometimes you can't get out and you may not have anything in there. So.
Okay, but that still doesn't count because it's in here. It's in here, it doesn't count.
Well, if you retrieved it outside before I walked in, then so be it.
No, it has to happen where I'm at
we're
another.
We're not on the premises at all.
We're not what?
Not on your premises at all.
Exactly. If it's on these premises, it doesn't count.
You see how dejecting that is.
No, it's appreciated.
I'm being who I am, but I have to be my.
It's appreciated, and
it don't sound like it.
I'm sure that by the way you described my reaction, I did appreciate the gesture. It's just not the same. It's not the exact same as me being somewhere that I intended to be, minding my own business, and then bam, that happened.
Well, I'm calling right now. I'm putting out a call to all women. When you see Renz out there, take care of them. And qualify, when you say you don't like a person, really qualify it by being accurate and say, I don't like some of the things that he said. That's qualifying the dislike. Because if you don't know a person and you don't know their character, and you don't know how they think, and you don't know how they interact with friends and family, you don't know their middle name, their favorite colors, you don't know them well enough to just, put a straight dislike. So what he's saying is, come on over to Smoking Phoenix, sit down, have a conversation. I think that you will learn to like him. Just like with me, like I'm a big dose out the gate. I'm a big dose, but if you spend the time, I think that you will walk away with a change, mind. But you still will not like everything that may come out of the mouth.
You're definitely not. So I have thick skin.
And I thank you, for because this is a real treat with your schedule to carve out some time for me. And Sports-A-Delic to come on the platform.
Of course. Almost anything for you.
I think it was informative to those that will view this. I think it was controversial enough to solicit, those comments that will help us help them grow. And I think some are going to send some comments where they feel like, I got some growing to do, and I'm glad that I listened to this, in its entirety. So and then if not, hey, I think it was Abraham Lincoln said, we cannot satisfy all the people all the time, but just some of them some of the time.
Right.
That's what it is. And thank you. Have a productive day. I may show my face, and I'm not going to do a damn thing for you when I'm there, because it just don't count.
Your presence is all that is needed.
You got some of that ATL popcorn?
Yes, I do.
Guys,
I'll
if you
be
hadn't had,
Go ahead.
guys, if you hadn't had the ATL popcorn, and the large is large. I gotta tell you, it's large. And I might slide over there and treat myself to that today. The problem is I can't stop eating it, and it's more sugar and calories and carbs and a whole lot of stuff I want to take in. It's just that good.
You got to take it home and break it up into smaller bags.
I tried everything, but I could be upstairs minding my business, watching Netflix, and then all of a sudden it's Rima, bring me up there with you. Rima, they call me, so I come downstairs to check on them, and then that's what happens.
I can't help that.
And I don't doubt that every other flavor is good,
Yeah.
but I have affinity for that caramel cheesy thing, but I think I will try the movie theater, like when it's good and it's straight up. That I can rock with that as well.
Yeah.
Because I think you have, and if you would, just one more time, go over your handles for people that want to reach out and tell you what's on their mind. And because I think you have a multiplex of flavors of the popcorn as well.
Yes. So the store is at 5385 54 Strickham Road in Stone Mountain, Georgia. We do carry a multitude of flavors. It's Uncle Renz popcorn. You can find it online at Uncle Renz popcorn, or the letter U, the letter R, the word popcorn.com. We have flavors that range from your cheddar, your butter, cheddar, white cheddar, queso, caramel, salt and vinegar, spicy cheddar, cookies and cream, banana pudding, strawberry cheesecake, cinnamon toast. So we have a plethora of flavors to choose from, satisfy any palate. So it's a great place. It's a fun place. It's a pop of happiness all day long.
And I understand that your lounge is right next door, and it can satisfy the palate that way as well.
Right. 3 doors over. Great cigar lounge where we chill, we talk, we have great conversations like these. And, it's 3 doors over. That's Smoking Phoenix Cigars, Cigar Lounge. It's Smoking Phoenix, ING. Because there is a Phoenix Lounge on the south side of Atlanta, but Smoking Phoenix Cigar Lounge. And as far as the other social media platforms, we have the Why I Left Religion with Coach Ren on all the platforms. We also have, and then we have the Art of Tantric Love on all the platforms. We go live on Tuesdays and Thursdays for the spiritual channel, and we go live on Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. both Eastern Standard Time for the Tantric Love, the Art of Tantric Love channel.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen.
And I am going to steal some of this conversation for my Tantric Love channel, just to let you know.
Well, absolutely. I will tune in to the Tantric of the Love. And please, please, please support both platforms. I am Sports-A-Delic, where we talk about sports and everything else. This falls in the category of everything else. And in closing, I will ask this question. Who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl?
Well, thankfully, non-emotionally and emotionally, I think that Kansas City is going to win. So I think Mahomes having 2 weeks to heal his leg or ankle, foot, whatever the issue was, that he is going to outperform what the Philadelphia defense can put forth towards him, even though I think their defensive line is tremendous and will give Kansas offensive line a whole lot of problems. Mahomes' versatility is going to be the difference maker. And I believe that it's going to be a close game, but I think Kansas City is going to pull it out. On a personal level, I'm not fond of the city of Philadelphia. its food, the attitudes, none of that. So I can't root for Philly. Plus, there's a guy who comes here. He's from Philly, and he's overboard. So I really got to be against him too.
Oh, I'm gonna say it, Andre.
No, it's not Andre, but I'm gonna throw him in there too. But yeah, he's big about that. So I'm gonna call him. I'm gonna call him personally and make sure he's sitting close to me so I can talk trash to him.
Right.
But yeah, but I think Kansas City is gonna pull it out in a close game. Because it will. I don't think it'll be a high scoring game either.
Okay.
I think it'll be a mid-level scoring game. Somewhere in the neighborhood of 21-24, something like that.
Well, this is what I will say. If Philadelphia does not come in and blow the doors off and put the score out of reach, if it comes down to a close game, I just don't know that the officiating is going to go in their favor because Patrick Holmes is the new Brady. He's the new face of the league.
Yep.
And, and I think, the storyline is Andy Reid defeats, his old team and all of that.
And you have that drama in there, and I think that's better money for the NFL. There's that part too. It'd be better money for the NFL for Kansas City to win.
Bingo. There you have it. Because it is a business, capitalism is always booming and looming. Again, thank you for your time, and I'll certainly reach out to you if I'm going to make it over there today.
All right. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.